So, did Meghan really expect to become an adored princess whose destiny it was to save the monarchy and live in her very own palace? Did Harry expect the family to forever welcome his wife with open arms? Did Charles expect to be king by now, and did Prince Edward expect to become the Duke of Edinburgh? Today we are talking about unmet expectations and how they lead to disappointment and resentment.
I came across a really interesting article about the title of Duke of Edinburgh. Of course, we lost Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, recently, and the essence of the article was around in 1999. Apparently, what happened was the Queen and Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, had a conversation with their third child, Edward, who is the Earl of Wessex, and his wife, Sophie. And they promised verbally, so it seems, that on the Queen and Prince Philip's death, because they both have to die in order for the title to be transitioned, that he would become the Duke of Edinburgh. So Edward would become the Duke of Edinburgh. So in 1999, both Edward and Sophie became very involved in the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme, which, for those of you that don't know, it's a fantastic youth scheme that puts children and young adults through lots of activities, physical, mental, volunteering activities, that's been in our nation for probably about 40 years. So
I remember doing it, yeah.
Yeah, well,
all schools do it, don't they? Have 3 levels: the bronze, silver, and gold. And all schools, the children go through bronze, and you have to go, walking, backpacks, camping, cooking outdoors, sort of intense
skills, volunteering, and all
reading, all of that. And they are fantastic, aren't they? And then obviously they progress up to the gold level, and the gold level award is presented from Buckingham Palace from the Queen or the Duke of Edinburgh. Did you do that?
I met Prince Philip getting my at Buckingham Palace 30 years ago. Yeah, I've got it on the wall. Strangle myself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's a hugely respected award scheme in this country. So you can imagine, again, back to the article. So the Queen, Prince Philip, having a conversation with Edward and Sophie around handing this responsibility over. So for the last 20 years, Edward and Sophie have really submerged themselves in that award scheme and in the role of how they would play it, so to speak. Well, the controversy over now, apparently, the Duke of Edinburgh title is that Charles, so Clarence House says, Charles doesn't want the title of the Duke of Edinburgh going to his brother. So apparently, when the Queen dies, that title goes back to the crown, which will be Charles, if he's still around. And it's the King Charles, who will decide where it goes. So, that expectation for Edward and Sophie, for them now to be hearing that title, that responsibility isn't going to be theirs, they are devastated. I think that the article used that word, devastated, confused.
I totally agree, Heidi. I think because what you have with expectations, in my view, an unmet expectation leads to disappointment, but that disappointment then leads to resentment. So it's not only Edward and Sophie that must be feeling, because not only have they believed they're going to have it, they're expecting it to come, they've actually put in so much time and effort and work in order to fulfill the roles of what the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme is all about. And I don't think with anything like this, it's necessarily what happens to people, it's how people deal with that disappointment and how people deal with the resentment.
Yeah.
And it does lead me, and I hate to go back to this same route again, because all roads tend to lead back to Montecito, don't they? Whenever we talk about it, tends to go back to Montecito, because Harry and Meghan, what expectations did they have? Because if their expectations have not been met, therefore they're going to be extremely disappointed. Is it resentment that's the underlying drive? We're talking about revenge, we're talking about bitterness, we're talking about envy, we're talking about all these different behaviours, narcissism. But maybe is it just coming back to actually an unmet expectation.
It makes sense. It fundamentally makes sense, doesn't it? As to seeing their actions. I remember, Sue, what that has raised for me. I remember for a long time as a child waking up on Christmas morning, believing, dreaming, absolutely manifesting a horse. And I remember feeling a disappointment of a heaviness in my tummy around never getting that horse. Eventually, interestingly enough, I bought myself a horse later on when I was earning my own money. But you know what still stayed is there's a little nugget of disappointment on Christmas Day, which I think still, so it's that habitual thinking of not getting what you want. And that expectation of thinking, well, of course my mum and dad know I love horses, so they're going to buy me a horse. My take on that bit would be that at what point then do you rely on external things making you happy? And you have to grow up quite a bit to be able to see that if you are relying on materialistic things or somebody else to make you feel fulfilled and happy, you're never going to be fulfilled and happy. So in that mix comes a self-responsibility to go, hold on a minute, the common denominator in my life is me. And
so it's okay. So thinking about Meghan then, what expectations, when she married into the royal family, what do we think she expected to happen? Because obviously all these expectations have been unmet, which has led to this huge disappointment and therefore resentment. But what do we think therefore were her expectations? One, to become a princess.
Yeah. I actually think that she felt she had the ability to save the royal family and bring them into the modern society. I really believe that she thought that she was going to be the saviour and the star and be revered.
And is that to be the second Diana?
Yeah, and she would get the entourage of adoration,
yes,
and serving, how to say that, a team of people that are there for her wishes and her demands.
Absolutely. And I think what we can talk about here is something we actually call this base expectation, isn't it? Because, let's say, for example, you go out, yourself and Jason go out for a meal, you go to a restaurant, all right? Yeah. You arrive at the restaurant and the waiter greets you at the door and says, good evening, table for two. Do you go, oh my word, that's amazing? Or you just go, yes, please?
Absolutely. Yes, please.
Okay. So the waiter then shows you to a table. Are you impressed?
No.
Okay. The waiter then brings you the menu. Are you impressed?
No.
The waiter asks you if you'd like to order some drinks.
No, not impressed.
Yeah? Okay.
Completely expected.
It is exactly what we expect. So we never think it's wonderful or it's great because we go, that's exactly what should be happening. And it's a base expectation. But what then happens is you go to a restaurant, the waiter takes you to the table, you sit down, and nobody comes to take your order for a drink or brings you a menu. What then do you start to feel?
Resentful. That this is ruining my lovely evening that I've been looking forward to for the last week.
And so what does that make you want to do? So what do you sit down at the table and discuss as an option? What do you think about doing?
I suppose I think about, should I go over and say something, Jason? Should I?
So maybe complain is one option.
Complain, yeah.
Oh, what else do you think is another option? So you have two options here, basically, don't we? We can either sit and complain or we leave. Now let's look at Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, she's walked out.
And while they're walking out the door, what did they do?
Complained.
Because in their mind, it's simply just not fair.
Yeah.
And therefore, when you leave the restaurant, it doesn't matter where it is, whether you sat at the table waiting for a menu, or whether the food wasn't quality, or the wine wasn't the standard you expected. All of these things make you want to either complain or leave.
Yeah.
So Harry and Meghan, of course, have gone away, hugely disappointed that what they dreamt was going to be their marriage. And I do believe, whatever we say about Meghan, I do believe that she really saw herself as the next Diana.
I do.
So, she manages to get Harry believing there's going to be this princess world of the clothing, of the palace, of the adoration, of worldwide stage, the cameras, the bigger than Hollywood, everything's going to be fantastic. It hasn't happened. So their expectations, Harry also, what were his expectations when he introduced Meghan into the family?
She would be welcomed with open arms.
And he expected to get in there and think, I've finally got my soulmate. I've got my partner. So when we go out with his brother and his sister-in-law, he takes his wife.
I think the nation wanted that, didn't we? We were all so excited about that.
I agree. I think definitely we did. We wanted Harry to be happy, didn't we?
Yeah.
So our expectations then. So we have our expectations as the general public looking in. Yeah. What do we expect?
Well, it's funny, isn't it, that, if we're looking at that formula of when your expectations aren't met, then it actually down the line leads to resentment. I think that's where we've got with Meghan. I think people resent her because she's taken Harry away from, his royal family, his family, I should say, not his royal family. And, I do get the sense that there's a resentment towards her. So it's followed exactly the same path, hasn't it?
It is, isn't it? We all thought, we watched the wedding, didn't we? And we all thought she was going to come in and, make the family, make the Fab Four. She was going to make Harry happy. And we watched this fun-loving, happy young prince lose his sparkle. Yeah. And to be taken away, we were not only disappointed, we resent them. We resented Meghan. We also expect, I think, for the royal family to carry on that element of that privacy. We keep saying, isn't it, never complain, never explain, where Harry and Meghan have then changed that great expectation we have of the royal family and gone, always complain, always explain. That's their new mantra. And if we go and watch a magic show, we know it's sleight of hand, we know it's trapdoors, we know it's smoke and mirrors. Yeah. We know that, but we still go, how did you do that? But what we don't expect is at the end of the magic act, for them to come on stage and go, oh, by the way, here you go, actually had twin assistants. Yeah. There's a trapdoor here, and this is what happened, and if you took that one here, this is going to fall. It would ruin it. Yeah. So what Harry and Meghan are doing are actually ruining the mystique of the royal family because they resent it. And that's what somebody does when they're bitter. You go and watch a magic show and you've got the assistant there, a big fallout with the magician, and what are they going to do? They're going to leave and say, I'm going to tell you how they do it, because they resent them. So Harry and Meghan.
Really interesting. I was reading a book the other day, and there was a quote in it from Dale Carnegie, which I actually think is super helpful to get your head around this this human reaction, which is what we're having. And I'll just read it here. It says, when dealing with people, let us remember we are not dealing with creatures of logic. We are dealing with creatures of emotion. Yeah. And that is such a good way of viewing it. We can never make sense of people's actions because they are fueled by emotions that are hidden. Yeah. And we do then try to make sense of it, but
Isn't it, it's very, I love that actually. And isn't it funny how, have you ever bought a gift for somebody or planned, I don't know, a surprise party or a surprise dinner for somebody, and then they open the gift and they go, oh, that's thank you. And you're expecting them to jump up and down and go, oh, that's the most amazing thing I've ever had, or a surprise party. And you can just see that they're going in your mind. Yeah. So their reaction isn't what you expected. Yeah. So then you spend the rest of the evening going, I'm so disappointed and gutted that it's not what they thought. And then you start to go, how rude was that? I've gone to all this trouble searching for that gift. I've spent a fortune on wrapping paper and ribbon, and I've done all of that for them. And look at them, they don't even appreciate it. You come home and you end up, from this person being the most special person in your life, you end up going to bed resenting them because they
Oh,
haven't
that's so
shown
true.
they haven't shown the appreciation that you expected them to show.
Yeah, yeah.
So what we have here is something called implicit social contract. Now, what this means is we all have certain standards that we believe is actually just natural. You know, if somebody opens a door for you and you walk through, you say thank you. You know, if you walk past somebody and accidentally bump them, you go, oh, excuse me. These are things, somebody gives you a gift, we know, we say thank you. So these are certain behaviors that we have and we expect from other people, and we're raised with them. However, what will happen is as we grow older, we will start to generate and create our own, what we believe is our own contract of social behavior. And if that other person doesn't match what we believe is our level of behavior, we say that they have failed to meet the base expectation we have. You give somebody a gift, we expect them to say thank you in the first place.
Yeah.
So if they don't and they haven't met this base expectation, that then turns into this disappointment. They go below it by not doing what we believed was the general, generic social contract. We get to the disappointment and the resentment. But surely the only people that are suffering with that, with their actions, is actually themselves. They are in believing that by doing all of these things, they are hurting the royal family. They are hurting the people that they see hurt them. Yeah. But it must absolutely be eating away at themselves, because they must go to bed at night and it's the last thing they think about. They must wake up in the morning and it's the first thing that they think about. So living with that need to try and, I say the word hurt, but to try and actually cause some level of hurt, harm or distress to somebody else for causing you that resentment, that surely can't be good.
I totally agree. It's like taking a pill, a poisonous pill, yourself, and wanting somebody else to drop down dead, isn't it? You are so right, Sue, in that is damaging to their self-esteem, their self-worth, their health. We know that stress causes poor health down the line. So yeah.
So if you're feeling this level of resentment, you know, maybe there is a level of, you know, looking at what is a realistic and what is an unrealistic expectation. You know, I'm going to this restaurant. I expect a waiter to greet me when I walk in. I expect to be shown to a table. I expect to have my drinks order taken. I expect to be given a menu, and I expect them to take my order. Now, if I go to McDonald's, love McDonald's, this is, you know, but I don't expect to be met at the door and to be shown to a table. I don't expect somebody to come to my table and take a drinks order. I don't expect all those things to happen. So when I actually don't have an expectation, I don't feel disappointment, and therefore I don't feel resentment. So when I go out to eat in McDonald's or many other, you know, eating establishments similar, because your expectation is level with what is reasonable, is realistic, you therefore aren't disappointed. So you don't have to have that high level of expectation. So if Meghan has joined the royal family and her expectations have been so incredibly high, they have simply been unrealistic.
I don't see Meghan, you know, called her a narcissist before. So her expectations, her narcissistic expectations, are going to be different to somebody like Kate, who isn't a narcissist. So, you know, your expectations are led by your attitude, aren't they?
Yeah.
By your personality and attitude. So she's gone in there thinking they're going to love me. Oh my God, I'm going to go in and glad hand everybody as I'm, you know, going around Buckingham Palace.
She did, didn't she? She went in seriously thinking.
She did.
Everyone was going to be just bowing down to her as the saviour of the royal family.
Yeah. In her book of expectations were way too unrealistic, weren't they? And out there. Whereas Kate's expectations will have been far different to that.
Absolutely.
Different people. But yeah.
It's a nice link, actually, because I do this on the confidence programme. Generally, the people that come in the programme feel that they're not meeting their own expectations or the expectations by other people. So they always fear this failure. They always fear they're going to let other people down. They fear that they are not good enough. And that, you know, that module that we do on becoming the saviour, they come back to and just go, it transformed their life. And what they find by actually being the saviour is that ability to actually go in and make a difference to people's lives as well as their own lives.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. It sounds like, you know, that you're helping people to really commit to their lives, to not be the bystander in their lives, to commit.
Yeah, yeah. The majority of people I have are more mature ladies, because they almost hit a stage in their life where they actually see, do you know what? I've got less time in front of me than I have behind me.
Scary.
And having that realization life is almost saying to yourself, do you know what? If I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? So there's a huge part of the ladies that come on the program actually have hit a point in their life where they say, it's time to do something for me, and I actually want to enjoy my life. Because a lot of the women also have said to me that they have been the partner, the support, they've gone through life being the wife of somebody or the mother of the children. Then all of a sudden the children have left home, they've moved on, the husband maybe, you know, retires, and they're no longer, you know, they don't have a role. Then they feel all of a sudden they want to be somebody, rather than always being, oh, this is my wife and that's my mum. They want to say, no, this is me, and I have done this and I achieved that.
Yeah,
it gives them a sense of purpose, a huge sense of purpose. Yeah, so great, you know, from Edward and Sophie, what they are feeling. I hope that their disappointment hasn't led to resentment. But whatever they are feeling, one thing I would actually count on is they're not going to react in the same way as Harry and Meghan.
Very true. Very, very true. Yeah.
If you are interested on my Find Your Confidence program, if you want to find out more, please just email me with the words, I want to find my confidence, to my email address, which is sue@sueblackhurst.com. What I will do when you email me is I will then email you back. It's not automated, it's not a mail merge or anything like that. I will email you back and I send you a link to my online calendar, and we set up a Zoom call, and just like Heidi and me now, you and I will have a chat where I get the opportunity to find out more about you and more about the things that you want to achieve, you want to do in life, and I can tell you how the program will help you, and I will also tell you whether it is the right program for you. So I'm there to tell you straight, to make sure we make a difference. So email me. It's been lovely again talking. Thanks again, Heidi. Thank you so much again for watching. Please do like and comment and share this video if you can. It really is a massive help to me, just to give the good old thumbs up. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, you can do that now. Do take care, and we will see you again very soon. Bye-bye. Glorious week. Have you been absolutely good?
Goodness me, I have to catch my tongue if I feel myself starting to say it's too hot, because I'll be very sad when this period of sunshine ends. We get it so infrequently, don't we?
It's
continuous.
I've got a desk under my fan at the moment, and I've got this desk.
A desk under your fan? You've got a desk under your fan?
I've got a fan under my desk. And if I sit down, just a minute.
Oh!
I'm doing it now.
Oh my, Sue, that's hilarious. You look like you're having triplets.
There you go. Due in about, oh, actually, I think they're probably due about tomorrow morning. All three of them. Mother and baby doing well. Just people watching, just to late.
Oh, you do look well. You do look well, Sue.
Say something. I'm getting a nice little waft underneath.
Oh, see.